Warm greetings from AJK College of Arts and Science. Respected resource person for today's webinar, Mr. Jorely Mathew, Head of the Department, Mr. Jayan Pillai, my colleague, Mr. Muralidharan, and my dear beloved students. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Mr. Jorely Mathew, Area Director, Host Engagement, Thailand, and Group Director, Learning and Development, Soneva Hotels and Resorts, Bangkok, Thailand. Jorely Mathew has 24 years of experience in academics, hotel operations, training, and human resources. Mr. Mathew is a graduate in Hotel Management, BHM, Masters in Business Administration, MBA. He is a certified NLP practitioner and a timeline therapy. He is a certified hospitality educator, CHE, and chartered fellow, CIPED. He was an associate professor with Manipal University and has worked in human resource and training functions with numerous luxury hotels and resorts. The Leela Palace Udaipur as head HR, Six Sense Resorts and Spas in various locations, including Maldives, Jordan, and Thailand, before working with Fairmont Jaipur and Rafael's Seychelles as HR Director. He is currently the Area Director for Host Engagement, Thailand, and Group Director, Learning and Development for Soneva Resorts, who are the pioneers in sustainable luxury and based at the corporate office in Bangkok, in Thailand. He is extremely passionate about sustainability, human capital development. He dedicates his personal time for community activities. He is involved in a project in the northwest Thailand on the border with Myanmar. The town of Mae Sot is home to a large Karen minority, which is one of the most vulnerable populations in Thailand, along with the Tak Border Child Assistance Foundation. The HCTC, Hospitality Catering Training Center, in order to help underprivileged young people by offering them a chance to access promising jobs in the hospitality catering sector. Sir, it's a great pleasure and honor to have you in our midst today. Your experience and wealth of knowledge will definitely help our young budding hospitality students to empower them in their future career. Thank you, sir. The session is yours. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the lovely introduction. First of all, I'd like to thank AJK College of Arts and Science, Mr. Jayan. He's my classmate, and rest of the faculty to invite me to the session. And it's an absolute pleasure to share whatever I can with the young students, because I took exactly the same route. I was once a student and a faculty. So I possibly can connect with everybody sitting or everybody listening to me today. And then in this session, I would like to connect with my personal journey as well as my professional journey, as well as able to share some of the thoughts which probably would be quite relevant to the time. This is a time when we have been discussing a lot about this pandemic, COVID-19. More so with a lot of negativity and anxiety and concern. So I would like to shed a bit more of a positive spin to it and to see that how you can make best out of this situation, what we are in. We have no choice, but how we can actually make the best out of the situation. So for all of you listening from around south of India, Vanakkam, Namaste, Sawadee Krap in Thailand. In Thai, what we say. The format of this session would be around 30 to 40 minutes is what my key topics is, just 5 points. And I would take about 5 minutes for my personal professional journey. And I would roughly take around 15 minutes, at least 15 minutes for question answers. So I understand that this is not an open session where people can ask questions, but there has a chat option. You can write the question and I can take as many questions as the time permit. I don't have an upper limit, you may have. So even if it exceeds more than 1 hour, I'm more than happy to stay with you and have a fruitful conversation. So I'll move ahead to share the screen. The topic, you might be wondering why I have chosen this, and this is not new. This has a lot of meaning over the years when we grew up. There are a lot of stories around wood cutter, sharpening his axe, and there is also a book, a very, very famous book with similar words, saw chapters. Why I took one chapter from the book, 2 other practical lessons, which is very relevant to the time. The situation globally you're facing, and students, mostly hospitality students who are listening to me, many of you are anxious about what is in store. What about my employment? What about my regular schooling? What about the internship or training which you are going to do? I honestly feel, having gone through this for the nearly 6-7 months as a hotelier, as an HR person, I feel that we are at the end of the tunnel. In most part of the world, the situation may slightly differ from pockets of different cities or countries. But overall, I think we are moved this far, and let us discuss about how we can make best of the situation. Abraham Lincoln said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." This is what you must have heard about this quote earlier. This highlights the need to actually focus on sharpening. Yeah, I will. And why? There was 2 questions about why and how. These days, we have a lot of webinars and a lot of news related to the pandemic. And why those webinars? We have found an alternate way of managing a new normal, or the way in which we deal day-to-day life. When the first situation came in of COVID-19 to today, psychologically, we have adapted much more and accepted and moved on. So overall, having dealt with hoteliers within my company and outside, I've realized that across functions, people have a lot of anxiety, depression, and hotels and organizations are now giving psychiatric help, people who could call a trained psychologist or a psychiatrist to seek assistance for their emotional well-being. And today I'm going to look at, as I mentioned, chapter 7 of one of the books, and I would very highly recommend 2 other books which I would take inspiration during this session. So what about sharpening the saw means preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, which is you. If sharpening the saw means preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, and that's you. So this is from the chapter 7, or the 7th habit of the 7 habits of highly effective people. And that habit, the chapter is named as Sharpening the Saw. And why this is quite relevant is that this is a time you can take out to improve yourself, to make the best version of you. And as an analogy, as I mentioned, these are the 4 dimensions in which the book talks about. And the first one is about the mind. And that's what the students, faculty in academia, mostly you are related to, is you're reading, you're educating, you're writing, you're learning new skills. And that need not necessarily be from your alma mater or your hotel school. This can be from anywhere and everywhere at this point of time. And webinar is not the only way in which you're going to learn. And I am not the only one available for you to share or discuss this situation. And the next question is how? Now, obviously, the first point in that is skill upgradation. Make yourself very relevant. In hotel schools, or in any organizations, in educational institutes, the students study hard to score marks. They acquire skills. They own the skills required for the industry, and the primary motive is to get a job. Now, if you feel that the situation is not helping you much, what are your options available? How do you make yourself very relevant to the situation and be ready for whenever it is due? And we have numerous options. If you sit at home, you can look at MOOC, massive open online courses like edX, Coursera, and a whole lot of them, which are sometimes a certified course might take up to $50 or less, or if a non-certified course is absolutely free. And the beauty of that is you can select a topic of your choice and you can be an expert, or you can have a deeper knowledge in a specified area. Of course, you are doing a hotel management or an MBA or any such courses, which is a full-time course, but this is something which is very handy. Now, I will tell you why hoteliers, people like me, when it comes to recruitment, and why do we look for that, is we would look at how you have been resourceful during this period of time, rather than contemplating how you made best use of it. Online courses, there are numerous courses which are paid. You have professional certifications and license. Apart from the degree offered by the institute, you have an option to specialize in a topic or in an area which is your favorite, which is your choice. And this is perhaps the time for you to sharpen or specialize in an area which gives you a professional advantage over your colleagues or your peers. Because tomorrow when you sit for campus recruitment, all of you would bring more or less a similar resume. And this is what is going to make you stand out. Of course, we have workshops, you have webinars. Another thing, I remember one of the occasions in which I went to a hotel school, the large number of students for campus recruitment. And what I was quite impressed was one of the boys went to a local dhaba and he learned practically from there. He worked there. All he wanted to learn was to make rumali roti. And he was proud. He utilized his time out of college hours, and he learned the skill of being at a tandoor and make. And his main objective was to make a rumali roti. It was in twofold appreciable because he found time beside the college hours. He wanted to learn a skill, and he never shied to go to any place to learn a skill, and whoever can teach him that particular skill. So today you look around, there are a lot of people who can give you those skills, and you have all the time available. You can read books. I personally like the Audible, where when I go for a walk or when I'm traveling in a taxi, I can, or in odd times, I can, before going to bed, I can listen to that, and I can stop and rewind, and I can listen to wherever I left it. So you can have your options. There are a lot of options for podcast and cross exposures. You know all of these options, but my question is, how many of you are opting for at least one or two a period of time to make yourself quite relevant to the time, quite up in the line, and up in the game, so that you have a more chance to get recruited? The second point which I want to talk about is a resume or vitae. I am not going into how you have to make a resume or a curriculum vitae. I'm going to stress here is, imagine a situation when you have sent your resume to someone, and the person goes through that, and there are hundreds of it. For example, if I remember when I was working with Fairmont, I would normally post it in the evening before I leave office. And for a HOT position, I would at least get 250 to 300 applications within the next 4 hours. Imagine a situation where you have to screen those resumes. You certainly would not have the luxury of time. You have to skim through it and to see the key essentials in that. Of course, in a platform, you have a lot of options for filters that will help us. But nevertheless, you have to go through a certain number which are shortlisted based on the assessments and the scores. Now, even in that, the person who's sitting and screening also matters, whether your resume reaches the right hands and being presented in the right fashion. So the first thing is your resume, and which is French for summary. It's called as resume or resume. It's French, and it's a brief summary. It should not be more than 2 pages. Many people ask me how big or how should the format of a resume be. That's a whole area. I can take a 1-hour session on that, but I'm not going that far. Curriculum vitae, which is it is actually Latin. It means course of life. This is very descriptive. This gives you a story of your chapters of your professional life, which can be a little more elaborate, where once you're shortlisted and an interview, you could probably give it to the organization to have a little more detailed information about you. That's curriculum vitae. So please note what the organization asks for. I often get resumes or curriculum vitae, which is copied to probably, I have seen the maximum is around 30, 40 hotels, and they just bombard mass emails to all the HRs, and it is absolutely not impressive because they have no idea whether a job is available. It's a very generic one, and it is just sent as a mass email. The impression which the person creates is very, very different from specifically looking for and applying for a position. So whether you have a skill, you have done all your work, you have utilized your time, you are relevant, but unfortunately, you will not be visible, you will not get into the radar if you have not pitched yourself correctly in a resume or in a curriculum vitae, or many good organizations ask you to upload your details onto their platform. They ask you to do an online assessment, whether it is a psychometric assessment or a cognitive test, whether it is numerical aptitude, logical reasoning, and so on. And in my previous organizations, we had trained psychologists calling the person. I was called, and I had a probably hour-and-a-half interview from a lady from Canada who interviewed me for senior position. So to notice your profile is as equally important. So both are tailored for a specific job or a company you are applying to. Please do not make one resume or one curriculum vitae and flash it across, Coimbatore to French Polynesia. Now, how long you have the window to impress the recruiter? I know in a platform you cannot respond, but in your mind you can think your answers. How long, if I'm a person, a recruiter, and I have resumes, how long do I take to shortlist a resume? It would be shocking for some of you may know it. Just 6 seconds. The average time taken by a recruiter is around 6 seconds when they skim through the profile. They are looking for the key competencies, or how the position aligns with the positional description and the person's background and experience. So unfortunately, you don't have much time. Next is the person. Let's say if I apply for a job, the person sitting there to scrutinize would be a very young person, a HR supervisor or an HR officer or assistant, somebody with 1 or 2 years of experience, or maximum a little bit more in bigger organizations. So if a person gets a resume of someone who has got 30 years of experience, I don't have 30 years of experience, probably the person is going to think that, oh, this gentleman is my father's age. And that probably could be a reason that he would think, oh, I don't want such an elderly person in my organization. So you have to be, even if you have very long, rich experience, many people do not put it as 30 years or 40 years. They say over 20 years. That is the reason to be made relevant, and to see that a young person should not even keep aside the resume because of a personal bias, thinking that, oh, he's of my father's age. So there are a lot of aspects which we look into, how to impress and how to get through the window of 6 seconds and getting shortlisted. You don't need to literally do this. We call it you need to Botox your resume. I know it's an enhancement process, and do ensure that what you need to highlight And what you need to conceal or enhance, maybe it's not about concealing, but showcasing the right features, right aspects of your achievements and significance, impact in your resume to be highlighted, and some of them to be not to be included. I'll give you an example is, if you have many years of experience, not in the, perhaps in your case, maybe in your faculty's case, what is relevant is perhaps the last 5 to 10 years. What you did earlier in your career is irrelevant. To me, what I did 25 years back is nothing to do with what I am doing right now. What matters is my last 10 years. So in my resume, what should highlight is my last 10 years. And you should take conscious effort to ensure that your resume, many of the resumes I see have spelling mistakes. There perhaps is a copy of somebody else. I have actually got a photocopy almost, similar ones. And some of them do very descriptive motivational letters, which is good if requested. Many organizations ask you to do a cover letter, make it specific to that organization. I can probably go in much detail if you have any questions toward the end, but please ensure that your resume is impactful, impressive. It contains the most relevant thing for that particular job. So whenever you apply for a job, make it personalized resumes for that particular position or for that organization. In many cases, the organization asks you to upload a resume into their database, the hiring platform, and you can always amend at time to time or even attach a Word or a PDF format into it. But please ensure that time to time you make it much very relevant. Next is you are as a brand. And this is what a typical LinkedIn page would look like, the header of it. And this is, if you go and search for LinkedIn, most of the people would have this auto-filled heading and some details. And look through maybe a half a dozen, 2 dozen profiles, you would understand how people have presented themselves onto the platform to present the right data, right information there. So you are a brand, and you need to showcase exactly where you are, what you do. The header in the previous one doesn't reflect what I do and what's the area of my interest. And this has nothing to do, the previous one is very ambiguous. Here, even if it's a recruiter, even if it's a resource person, industry professional who want to network, people have a fairly good understanding, even right from the top. Forget about the remaining areas. Even to the extent your link of your profile to be personalized to put your name rather than some auto numbers or figures which is cropped up there. So present yourself as a brand, as an individual of certain value, which any organization would be attracted to. The third point which I would take is the self-awareness. If you don't know yourself, an interviewer, regardless whoever it is, will not be able to know you as much as what you are, your abilities, your weakness, and so on. Many often people ask me, when you do an interview, how do you get to understand people? I don't know as much as people let me understand them. That's what I tell them. How much ever they showcase the best side of them, and over a period of years, you understand body language, you understand Vince's background, and so on. So most of the time, we are looking for a positivity to see why this person best fits our organization. And the shining superstars, or the people who are extremely good, it's very easy. The interviews are very short. And today, when you have a large number of people available for recruitment, especially in India, the hospitality professionals, it's very easy for the recruiter to reject. To select also is equally easy, because if you have wonderful candidates, the shortest time I've taken for an interview is perhaps 6 seconds, 5 seconds. The person came in, I shook the hands and said thank you, because that particular student did internship with us for 2 times. And I don't need to interview him. I have already seen him. All I said was congratulations and welcome to the family. So as a student, your self-awareness and how you project is very, very important. I would highly recommend this book. This is a book by Danny Meyer. He is a famous American restaurateur, New York Times bestseller. The book is called Setting the Table. Now, This gentleman in 1985 opened a cafe, the Union Square Cafe in New York. And then from there, he today is a $400 million enterprise. And if you go to YouTube, you can see a lot of TED Talks and interviews with about this gentleman. Some of you may have already seen it. In this book, he talks about how in his last chapter of his book, which is chapter 11, he talks about how do we actually attract, recruit, and retain people. And he talks about it as another chapter of your autobiography. So tomorrow, if you apply with my organization, I look at you as how can I contribute to your next chapter in your professional journey, or how you are aligned to spend your time in your professional journey with us. How I can say is, why is this your next logical chapter in your life? Many people apply and say that, oh, I apply with Soneva because it's a very sustainable company, it's a luxury brand, you take care of your employees, which is it's all beauty pageant responses. But I would be more interested to see how the person adds value to the company, the role, the profession, or the community in whatever way, and whether that makes sense to him as well as it is for us, whether the person would be satisfied joining us as a company. I would show you a video. The video is 7 minutes. This is a video which I received last week, actually. This is very fresh, and I asked the candidate whether I can share this in a training session. I never planned for it. While I was preparing the content, I received this, and the candidate said yes. You listen to the 7 minutes and tell me maybe toward the end, how did you find this application for a job?
I believe that we all are president. Okay, it might not be a president of a country, but we are a president of our own home. And our climate action can start from there because we are the decision maker. With this kind of mindset, I started my zero waste lifestyle in 2016. I use zero single-use item, I eat a plant-based diet, and I advocate for climate action based on personal behavior changes. My name is Nilapati, and I am your next pioneer for science and conservation centers at the Soneva resorts in the Maldives. I come from Indonesia, the biggest archipelago country in the world. But Indonesia is also suffering due to climate change and the disposal of a single-use item to the ocean. With the zero-waste lifestyle, I advocate that we can create impact by changing our disposable behavior into a reusable one and use all of our resources into its maximum capacity. This zero-waste idea brought me to speak to more than 50 events in the form of lectures, webinars, workshops, and panel discussion. This also includes TEDx talk. In 2019, I got the opportunity to speak at 2 TEDx events. First one is TEDx Youth Nijmegen, and the second one is TEDx Venlo. I love sharing my knowledge for everybody, and I love to remind people that they matter, that they can create changes. My journey to sustainability and environmental action did start from my own personal behavior, but it doesn't stop there. I was thinking, how can I help my country? So while pursuing my master's degree, I decided to join a competition for idea organized by Western University in Canada. And surprisingly, I won 15,000 Canadian on a small island. This project and then become my master thesis to pursue my master degree. I heard about Soneva Resorts from and in charge on the Namunaba initiative. He found me because he was reading Bark Knowles. You can find my master thesis waste management through the link that I sent you via the email. My love on the environmental action grows and continues with my involvement in the UNFCCC. I'm involved in the Action for Climate Empowerment topic. It's called ACE. And my involvement in the youth intervention started in a climate conference in Poland, so it's called COP24 in Katowice, Poland, and continues in COP25 in Madrid, and hopefully. And my engagement also continues with my involvement in the panel discussion with the Executive Secretary of the UNFCCC. I think that youth is very important on the climate movement and in the changes for the better future. In the Netherlands, my action started when I was challenging the citizens of my city in Nijmegen to reduce their waste. It's called the Nijmeegse Afval Challenge. So I challenge people, around 500 of them joined, to reduce their waste for 30 days. It continues to the Dutch Senate when I was doing a panel discussion and, like working together in a topic related to plastic packaging and palm oil. These are the topics that are close to my heart too. Moreover, my engagement doesn't stop just in the Netherlands. Currently, I'm focusing in Indonesia with Zero Waste Indonesia. It's an online platform to invite people to change their behavior. So we are educating, we are giving information, and we are also collaborating with various organizations, businesses, and government agents of Indonesia to, change their behavior. So the disposable action is not just disposable. We give value to plastic packaging, we give value to waste, and we try to conserve the nature that is happening, that is already there in Indonesia. Knowing that your vision is to be a sustainable resort, it triggers me because I believe everyone plays a vital role in climate action, and partnership is crucial to create a sustainable future because the solution is already there. We just have to work together to implement it. Islands like the Maldives are highly affected by climate change. Therefore, with the solution that I offer, I want to bring nature of Maldives not only for leisure, but also for a feeling of belonging. The Science and Conservation Center will bring the nature of the Maldives to their visitors, educate them, let them work with the local, and create a solution that can be implemented on the island or can be brought to where they come from. We can also involve students from universities to create an impactful project for their graduation. Because I know this very well. As young people, sometimes we feel that we don't matter, especially with our project in our university. Sometimes when we finish a project, the project finished there. It doesn't get continuous. But because I did a project related to plastic waste management on small island, I know even when I finish my master degree, the project still continues and grows as a ripple effect in the community. With this, I want to let you know that I'm ready. I'm ready to take upon the challenge. I had experience on having conversation with various type of people, from fishermen to ministers, and I want to have a sustainable and I want to create an impactful future. I also believe in the vision of Soneva that support the environment and the people. With my knowledge in climate-related issues, with my public speaking knowledge, and with my educational background, I believe that we can create a bigger impact. Allow me to work with Soneva and to bring Soneva as a resort that supports sustainable movement. And I will show you what kind of global community that we can create together. Thank you very much.
You have seen the video. It's certainly more than 6 seconds, and you have watched it. And if you have, if you have, you are getting this video and the resume, obviously you don't need to go through the resume. There is a lot of confidence which you get from this particular candidate. She applied for the role of a community and sustainability manager for our new science and conservation center in the Maldives, which is being opened by Soneva. Now, how she has aligned her past, her passion and aspiration, and how she's going to connect is beautifully articulated in that video. Now, not everybody would be comfortable making a video, or may not have all those kind of credentials which you think is quite impressive for a video like this. But you can use your own creativity to present, even in your resume, in your curriculum vitae, even in your LinkedIn profile, any social media platform, how you actually send it across by video or a motivational letter. That's what I'm talking about, getting through and being relevant and connecting with the organization's mission, vision, values, and how you're going to add value to that. And the next point is your attitude, and how do you stay positive in this time of turbulence? We do have personality profiling and cognitive assessments in many good hospitality companies. They do have this, that you are asked to do a psychometric assessment. At the end of it, there's the result. And the cognitive test includes other assessments, which they would take the scores based on the type of job families which you have applied for. I use this tool for the last almost a decade. It's a wonderful tool, and the result of that would be that if you hire a person whose personality profiling best suits that particular job requirement, there is about 72% chance that the person will be a high performer. These are related statistics of artificial intelligence, which systems help us doing the right recruitment strategy, and also to look at and groom people for future leadership positions. Now, today, people are all over on the social media, and Facebook being one of the most favorite one, and about how sensitive you are to things around, or your sensitivity to things. You may see people responding on social media, whether it is personal, professional, political, or something which is absolutely a troll. And it is also important that how you showcase yourself responsibly responding to things on a social media, because a recruiter have an access to your name. All the person is to do is punch the name. You can see your Facebook account, maybe if it is not, unless it's a private one, or LinkedIn and so on. So it's about the likes, what you do, the posts which you actually create, and the responses which you do also talk about you as an individual, your attitude, your preferences. And it can even, I know of situations when some of the comments which was quite racial or discriminatory were some of the things which stopped us from hiring candidates as well. Next is your social connections, and I would tell you in the next slide why more so. Because when you looked at the 4 quadrants from the 7th chapter of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, we left the other 3. We are coming to that. And the impact you have created. In this video, the lady, I'm not discussing her candidature because the process is on, but I'm talking about how beautifully she has linked and created how she can create impact in the job she's applied for. And the last point is well-being and happiness. This is not about an engagement activity in organizations, but we look for people who they take care of themselves, they're happy, and the reason is, if you look at this book, The Happiness Advantage by Sean Anker, this is the book which I just finished reading, and it says 56% of sales leaders perform better when they were happy. And they outsmarted their compatriots, if somebody who's average or below average. So obviously it's looking at how people stay happy, stay positive, regardless of situation what they are in. An example I can tell you is we are just opening our resort in Thailand on the 1st of October. In a situation like this, our October is the best October in the last 3-4 years. The sales team and the entire team has managed to rally and put a brave front and to market and see that we have some positives even in such situations. I spoke about the mind, to read, educate, write, learn new skills, of course. I'm talking about next is the requirement for a spiritual dimension, maybe 1 or 2 in each of those. Whether you meditate, how do you take in quality, whether it is by media or by interacting with individuals. The next is by heart. Heart is about emotions and social connect. Especially in senior roles, we certainly would look for how you have built relationship within your circle, within your profession, within your across professions or within the industry. and how you are able to laugh and love and cherish and celebrate life. Because happiness is a happy host or a happy employee is someone who's going to be more productive. The next one is the body. The exercise, any form of your relaxation. If you don't like to go to a gym and listening to music, going for a walk in the park, perhaps the way in which how you relax and de-stress yourself is very important. And it's not about I'm hardworking, I'm smart working, I can do any job, I can work 24 hours. That is not what we want. And we have a lot of such promise. Those are, I would say, the very old school thoughts of even recruiters. Today, people look for people who are well rested. They find a balance in life. They find the balance in life, a work-life balance. They have relationship, they are social, and they have a spiritual connect as well. So do remember that this is a time you have enough time to actually look for your body and spirit. So basically body, mind, and spirit. And this is what the chapter 7 years of academics and followed by 13 years of industry. Actually, it is 12 years on this side. It's the 24th plus 25th year. So you can see that. Running 24. I was a hospitality student, like most of you attending this session. And I was also a faculty member, like many others joining in this session as well. So there are many things in common. And I can just show you what my career has been. I started as a lecturer, moved in as an assistant professor to an associate professor. I left academics. I started as a training manager, HR and training manager, HR standards and training director, head HR, director HR, and the green what you see is since 2016, end of November when I joined. And the last one I have not put, but definitely that is going to be a change as of 1st of December, which I don't want to disclose as of now. But yes, my job is going to change slightly there as well. So in our professional journey, how did I sharpen myself? I have exactly 5 more minutes to end this first section of it. So I'm going to take you through this. I'm a graduate in hotel management. Alongside, we studied in the same batch along with Mr. Jain. I had a passion for teaching and academics, and that's what I did a decade of that. So I enjoy connecting with students, interacting with you. Whenever I visit for campus recruitments, I take sessions, and that's why I feel very comfortable talking and presenting. That's the other side of me. The second side of me is the over a decade, over 13 years as an HR professional, and that required, if I did hotel management, how much of that is relevant after a couple of years in the industry? Maybe I would say 5 years. After that, you need to find new skills. You are outdated. Any profession, you're an engineer, you are a doctor, you need to sharpen yourself and being very relevant to that particular industry. So your hotel school can only take you for the first 5 years. Your engineering college can take you probably, there are researches which has shown that almost 70% becomes redundant, and you may take some inspiration from 30% in your future career. Now, whether my hotel management graduation helps me today, absolutely yes. If I go for campus recruitment, if I interact with people, if I'm in operations, it helps me connect with operations very well. Even if I want to tell my wife how good the food is, I will tell her that I have a degree in hotel management. I can tell you how good or how bad your food is because I can show my degree. Jokes apart. So it helps you. And after that, every single phase of your time, you need to upgrade, upskill yourself, qualify, and being relevant to that particular situation. It's a I would say coincidence. Just as I was logging into for this webinar, I have just received an email for my next certification, which probably your faculty wouldn't have said that. This is from an Australian HR institute. It just came in as an email, which just maybe 1 minute before I logged into this session. So there is always a need to be finding what is important, what is relevant for you in your career, and looking to be in each of those roles. If I continue to do outstandingly well in one role and did the same thing over and again, I would have been there as as a training manager, or any one of these slots, I would have been there. And what helped me sharpen my saw is to find that need and how I make it competitively and being adding value to that organization, or what I value to the job. And during this pandemic, what I closed was I did a year study, and the last 5 months absolutely helped me to find more time. And I finished my CIPD certification during the time. Now, your students sitting in various parts of India, you have relatively more time available. I would highly urge you that sharpen your skills in whichever way in which is, any 4 quadrants or all the 4 quadrants. And when the industry is opening up, you should not be behind. That is something which help you be ahead and to land a job. Just 2 minutes on what I do and what's the company. I work for a company called Soneva, as the introduction says, and we create imaginative and engaging slow life. And what slow life means is sustainable, local, organic wellness, learning, inspiring, fun experiences. Now, we are a luxury resort company which creates, we believe that intelligent luxury, that is sustainability and luxury, can coexist with limited damage done, or it can even offset that. And we are the pioneers as a hospitality company to have a luxury hospitality division operating. And if many of you, if you're not familiar with Soneva, this is the same company, started in 1995 as Six Senses Resorts and Spas. Six Senses is now a part of IHG, where the owner sold the Six Senses portion in 2012. Now he retained only the high-end brand. So today, Soneva is a single owner-operated brand. We have 3 resorts in right now, and a yacht, apart from the corporate office. And I work in Bangkok. That's one of the buildings there in Bangkok as the group director for learning and development, and I take care of the area role for human resources besides being at the corporate office functions. This is our resort in the Maldives. It's called Soneva Jani, which is arguably the highest average room rate in the Maldives, along with Cheval Blanc. So a room a night can cost up to $15,000 a night. It's not 15,000 rupees, $15,000 a night. This is our other resort. This is the first resort of the company, I would say the flagship property in the Maldives. And this is the one in Thailand at the moment, out of the 3 Sonevas. So these are high-end luxury resorts. If you have to reach here, we will take you from Suvarnabhumi Airport on a private Cessna plane. The plane would land on the island which is at the far end, the tiny island which you can see, and there you come from by a boat. So it's the resort plane will take you to the nearby island, and by boat you reach the resort. And we create magical experiences for our guests. See, there are some of the pictures what describes my workplace. And yeah, I'm lucky to be working in exotic locations. For us, luxury is defined in terms of rarity, in terms of space, in terms of clean air, in terms of the service and privacy which we provide to our guests. How can you have a villa in the midst of jungle like this with less percentage of villa concentration in a big island, and you have a butler to yourself, you have a golf cart to yourself, you have several villas including health club, a spa section, and so on. So this is one villa. This is not the entire resort. This is just one villa. And about space, I mentioned this is a bath shower area. It's not about a cubicle, but about a space and luxury people have. Being in solitude, even to have a dinner or an overnight on a sandbank, to have a sustainable environment with fresh food and produce, which is produced on the island. You can watch a cinema under the stars, whether in the jungle of Palakkad or in the lagoons of the Maldives. You can look at the stars because Maldives is located in a equatorial belt where you have very good vision for the night sky. So we have one of the best telescopes in Southeast Asia there for a resort in the Maldives. And if you want to go up, you have a tree pod where you can dine up on the platform, and where your waiter would come and serve you on a zip line and serve you. Now, and you have a magical view, and you have a view to the island where the flight would land. That is the next island which you see. So it's about creating unique magical experiences for people, which is rare, which in a sustainable environment, in remote but accessible locations. When I say remote but accessible, this is our sandbank in the Maldives, where you can have a cocktail in the evening, or you can have a private island picnic. And you can have private dinners, even under the stars, or celebrations to be done, and or a unique private dining in our organic vegetable garden, so that the guests can go and pick the vegetables themselves, and the chef would craft a unique meal for the guest. And also to have the blue turquoise ocean, and to enjoy the lagoon. And the last is we also have our ice cream parlors and chocolate rooms in our hotels, where you don't need to pay any time, 24 hours, people can go in and eat as much as they want. So the kids really love our resorts, because except for the restriction from the parents, they need not pay anything. Even adults also, anyone staying with us. And on this, I would like to take the questions. So I would open the sessions to people to chat, put the questions in your chat option.
Thanks, Jorely. Boys, this is a golden opportunity for you. Please do ask questions.
I have two questions so far. So the first one says, sir, by taking the present situation, what are the changes we can see in our industry, like our health, appearance, etc.? By a quick question, I think this must have been probably answered by many. I would take one part of it saying, like our health, appearance, we've talked a lot about it, how the new normal and so on. So we are not going to be any different. The hospitality industry across, people would change in the way in which we are going to present ourselves to be safe for us and for our guests. And like our health, I would actually like to take about the word health, because what we did in Soneva is we actually gave all our employees a herb called Antrographis paniculator, which is, I don't know what's that in Tamil or in Hindi, I have no idea. It's quite available in Thailand and across, even in India. And this is, it's actually a herb which is good for viral infections. And this is something which creates great immunity. So it's as much as taking turmeric to any of those immunity boosters. This is something. So this becomes a drink which is kept in our cafeteria. So we made wellness changes in the host diet, because our host, which is we term as employees, they stay with us. Almost 90% of them stay in the resorts, which is residential. So we give accommodation, food, and all the facilities, which may including a host bar. They can have a drink in the evening. They can play pool. They have a tuck shop to buy ingredients. There is a gym there. They have a swimming pool and so on. So now the health option, what we provide to them is wellness check, screening. It's not temperature check, but complete wellness check. Opportunity for them to exercise and stay healthy. Healthy food options. There is a healthy corner of food diet. So we ourselves have modified ourselves to keep our employees healthy, much more stronger in terms of their immunity and their lifestyle in terms of their routine or practices, and as much as for the hygiene and safety precautions as well. So it's about organizations to look into keep people safe and also change their eating diet habit. We are now moving to educate, we've been doing it, and we have a major drive now to see why brown rice versus white rice, why artificial added sugars are not so good. It's about an education and gradually encouraging people to make those modifications in their lifestyle. So that is what any industry, including hospitality, because we deal with food and beverage, what we can do. The second question, that is from Vijit. Thank you, Vijit. The second question is from Shiva Prasad. What are the qualities HR department expecting from a student while taking an interview, and how to easily impress them? Yeah, I don't know what qualities you have to impress people. I don't know where sometimes I get bowled over by the genuinity. I think honestly to me, I like to see people what they are, how genuine. There is no surprises, and maybe that's something which I am personally biased or attracted to. Many recruiters have their own soft corners for whatever, but professionally, I think all recruiters would like to see what is the best in you and what you come across as your attitude and how genuine you are. I remember when I went to a hotel management institute, a boy walked in to the side and he approached me while I was moving out and he said, "Sir, can I speak to you?" And he said, "I am not part of this interview, but I would like to do an internship with your organization. I am a year back, or there was some problem in the hotel school. There was something which stopped him being a year back or lost his 1 year. Or so typically he was not one of those meritorious students who would impress an interviewer. But I liked the way in which the boy spoke to me and gave me a personal promise of how he would seriously take an internship. And I said, yes, this is a chance or a thing which I'm taking. An internship, it's okay. I mean, I can take a decision on my own and give that. But trust me, that person did not disappoint. He did 6 months with me in my internship. And whenever I see him here and there on the corridor, I used to tell him that he should meet me at least once a month and tell me how it is progressing. And I was very happy that he did outstandingly well. He kept his promise. So it is not, people surprise you sometimes. Somebody who is shabbily dressed or not so presenting themselves in an interview that is one side of it. So obviously I also look for all of this, what other recruiters would look for. But what can impress everybody is what have you done to create that extra edge over rest of your people. How you are made best of your 3 years or 4 years in your hospitality school. I think that is where it makes a difference in a campus recruitment. When we have, as I told earlier, the resumes are more or less similar. The marks percentage may slightly differ. Your choice of departments may differ. Yes, of course, the type of hotels you went for training make a lot of difference. Some of them we've done the training with very good hotels and have very good exposure as well. Not only being in some, but they have learned as well. So I think that is a lot of it. I can go on and on, but I think I hope I answer Shiva. Next is from Vishnu, KSA assessment in HR department. I don't know what you're referring to KSA. I'm not too sure. But I assume it would be psychometric or personality assessments or any kind of cognitive assessments. Yes, I give an example of my previous job when I joined Fairmont Raffles Hotels. That I was first given a link to do an assessment. So 156 questions, and that will give me a grading of poor, fair, good, and excellent. So if I'm excellent, I would be shortlisted for a psychometric assessment. Next, in the cognitive test, I have numerical test, which I've got 10 minutes and it's on a clock. Logical reasoning, 5 minutes, and it's on a stopwatch. And logical, numerical, and these two primarily. And that would also give a back-end score, and they would see that for a finance person, what should be the numerical score? For an HR person in that role, what should be the numerical score? Once I finish it, I get an assessment, and then my interview will be done by a trained psychologist. As I mentioned, was an hour and a half of that interview. And after all that starts with the real interview. So different organizations have different parameters. The company which I work right now, Soneva, we have a 360-degree interview, which means at least 2 people at the same level, 2 below and 2 above will interview you. So minimum 6 people will interview. And as you go up, based on your position, there could be more people interviewing you. I don't know whether I should tell it publicly, but when I joined back the company, I was interviewed by 24 people. Don't be shocked because it could be the whole HR team, which was 8 of them together or 5 or 6 of them sitting together and speaking to me. So if I count all the heads, I met 24 people apart from the owner and my immediate boss. And so there is a very thorough 360 feedback, and people look at candidates. They are flown down to the resort. So I went to Thailand, at the corporate office and to the resort, and I met different people over a period of 3 days. So the assessments or interviews would be different at different levels and in different organizations. So what you need to be preparing is, if you are doing a psychometric assessment, you can practice it. You can do logical reasoning, logical aptitude. There are a lot of free tests on the internet. This can help you crack a numerical test in less amount of time. If you have 10 minutes, you will be able to be more doing a lot of questions, and your scores will be much higher. If you are looking for attitude and change, of course, yes. If you, the way in which your outlook and things would also be changing, and how you are supposed to do assessments. Next is from Adars, ADHARS. What is the career opportunity as bartender after this pandemic situation? I think bars, people are going to drink and have merry, absolutely. So bars are going to be open in the night and maybe possibly 24 hours, why not? So there is going to be opportunity for everybody, and so as bartending too. So I don't think there should be anything less or more. I guess it is going to be the same unless government lifts the ban in terms of the operating hours, and there's going to be more bartenders required. Next is Harish Kumar. Sir, is there any chance for our training in foreseeable future? Unfortunately, I don't I cannot read the future. I mean, I can have some amount of sixth sense, but absolutely you can do training, because it depends where is open, what is happening. I give example in my company. In Thailand, we did not have any COVID cases for the last 90 odd days or more than 100 days internally. But there have been cases which comes as part of the repatriation flight, every day couple of them. So as of date, Thailand, we have little over 3,000 cases from December to date. So we are much better off as a country and well contained. So we have students coming for training in our resort. We have interns already signed up. HR, I have a intern in the resort here. Maldives, maybe once the international borders open. So it depends with where you are going to apply. If you are strong enough and you are ready to go to a quarantine hotel, go ahead and do the internship there. Why not? So if you have that kit and if you secure yourself, why not? I would encourage you to go and do the training in a quarantine hotel, because there are a lot of hotels who do, beside the state quarantine, they do take people for accommodation. I'm serious, I'm not joking, but I know, because if people can work in such hotel, why not train? I know housekeepers who take care of hotels or hotel rooms where there are people quarantined. So why not you work there as an intern? Provided your health is correct, you don't have any special ailments, and you take care of yourself. So safety first. Next is from Vishnu. Vishnu asked about knowledge, skills, abilities. I'm not too sure what the question is. So I assume the question is, what are the skills, knowledge, and abilities required to be hired? See, sometimes when I go to hotel schools, I ask basic questions in food and beverage or different departments. And more so, I ask very basic questions to students. I ask them, tell me the cuts of fish. And I can say averagely people would say 2 to 3. They mostly would say filet, dan or goujon, some of this. And I say, I'm an HR professional working for 25 years. And if I can say it's a filet, trousseau, goujonette, delice, ply, poppy, and medallion, why would you should be ashamed that, after 25 years, if I remember that? So knowledge is something which is valuable. It depends. I don't need to know about food and beverage, but I need to know about my job, what I'm doing right now. So knowledge is, nothing is more. So whatever your faculty teaches you, I think that's relevant. And when you go for the industry, there are many things which you would learn. I personally don't think hotel schools are irrelevant or they don't teach what is required. I've been on the both side of the fence. So what you should focus is what your faculty teaches you. That's what the basic essentials we expect from you, and what you have gathered during your training. Skills, I gave an example of the boy who went and learned how to make rumali roti. So what skill do you have? I have no idea. Which department you opt for, I have no idea. So get the best out of the team which you are opting for. If you want to be in bakery or confectionery, or you want to be specializing in what section, you go for the best. Go and work in a Michelin star restaurant and find the best chefs. In one of the points which I said was mentors and coaches. Go and chat with a celebrated chef, or an executive chef, or somebody, a mentor in the industry, and understand the skills required. Or even if it is around your street, somebody making jalebis, learn how to make jalebi. If you want to become a halwai or a sweet person, those are skills which has come over many years. So I would urge you, go and find who can give you the finest skill and learn from whoever it is. And abilities, if you can write, if you are ambidextrous and you can write with both hands, fantastic. If you can, but we are not in this world looking for multi-skilling to that extent. But what we are looking at is people who are good communication, who have the right attitude, and who is willing to learn and grow. Everybody works hard. Everybody extends their work. Everybody enjoy. Everybody wants to earn money. So I think we are looking for people who have the possibility to grow and the right attitude. I think that's what I can summarize. Any other questions? I don't see any questions. Yeah, that's so far 7 questions, I guess. Anything from faculty members? I think the pressure should not be on the students to ask, more so when it comes to this webinar, the faculty would be prompting students to write questions to the person. See, do consider me as one among you, because I was a hotel management student. I'm also faculty too. So you very well can ask me anything. There is no formality required. What is an open door policy at work? Good question. Open door policy can symbolize as a jargon which organizations use to say how accessible you are across the levels of your organizations to your people. How inviting are your policies, your processes, or your people to communicate. That is what an open door policy means. I can give an example with what we do in the company right now, which I influence, is any person in the company can either write and put into a box or write on a Google Sheet any question to the owner and chairman of the company, and he would answer that, and he would respond in an open session every quarter. And during the pandemic, we said rather than under communicating, over communicating is better. So we did have CEO Connect, it's called, every fortnight. So that is an open door example of an open door policy. Number 2 is we have a lot of forums where people can reach out to. It is not about writing a secret message into a ballot box. It's about accessibility and how you're going to address those grievances before it becomes a complaint. So we have sessions called Tea with HE. In our company, HE means host engagement, not HR. So we invite people for tea every fortnight. Anybody can come, enjoy a cup of tea and some snacks, understand, share if you have a concern, pass if you have any comments or feedback. And it's a very healthy, open discussion, and we minute it and take actions for that. We also have sessions like with Meet the Management with General Manager. So at different levels, they have different forums where people have an opportunity to communicate formally, informally, and also if they find anything unethical, they can even, we also have the whistleblower system of ethics online for somebody who can report unethical practice in the company. So we have all formats of it across different levels for different functions, whether it is as a process or as an activity of engaging people and having an open door policy. And in one of my earlier companies, we had a card. It was called a key card. Just nothing but with the logo of the company and a card which symbolizes, and it was given to every new employee and said that if you take this and go to the GM's office, you don't require a prior appointment. That means you have something urgent and important to discuss. That's your key. That's your master key, actually a master key to any door offices in the company. So people do a lot of such initiatives. And most good companies have a lot of such opportunities for people to communicate.
Sir, the workload in the hotels is a problem in all the countries, be it India, Thailand, UAE, wherever. So How is it taken forward? Does it change from country to country, the rules and regulations? How is it maintained, sir? What are the things you're looking?
Okay.
Your take on the workload problem.
See, I don't have. Thank you, Jonathan, for the question. I love this question because I worked almost 7 years in India in hospitality as an HR head position. I'm not particularly talking about India or as a profession or in any. This profession, hospitality, is 24/7. Otherwise, I should be a faculty who can come at 9 o'clock and go at 5 o'clock. And you also stretch. It's not that every time you can go at 5 o'clock. There are times in which you have food festivals or things, and you also do stretch, or you have things to prepare even in the evening. So as a hospitality professional, it's a fact that it's a 24, 365 days industry. So people do work across in cycles, and it is not an easy job everywhere. To be in the kitchen is celebrated, but it comes with a lot of heat and fumes and flames, and it's not as easy as the food which comes out. Now, every country has a work law, the labor law, which is governing. So in Thailand, we have 48-hour work week. Now, how that 48 productive hours of work week is taken and respected and taken care for the employees is what makes the company. Now, for us, they live within the resort. I can just walk from my workplace to the office when I am at the resort. I live in Bangkok, so I need to travel. So whenever I visit a resort, I'm going Monday, I'm going to another resort here. So it's just a walk away. I live there. So it's about managing your work, being there, and doing a 48-hour productive work week. And if the employee is not able to balance and find the difference between work and how they separate it, yes. I know that several companies, especially particularly students, would be very interested when they go for internship. Sometimes they come and tell me proudly that I did internship I worked for 48 hours, 36 hours, and I stayed in the resort, in the hotel, I was doing banquets and so on. Now, it's about how each company respects employees and how they take care of. And I think I was fairly successful, and I can proudly tell the name also that if you go to Fairmont, Jaipur, and I was there for about nearly 4 years, a trainee gets all weekly off, works same like an employee. If he works more than 4 hours extra, he gets an extra day off, which is, I think, unheard in any hotels in India. A person would get a stipend of 2,000 to 6,000 Indian rupees, which is not high, but as a stipend, which is high. They get an evaluation every month, and they attend to their colleges. So it is up to the hotel how they actually plan and do and take care of trainees or employees. So I cannot talk for the industry, but I would say it is all to do with the law is very clear. Many people stretch it because there is an acute shortage of trained manpower and productivity and manning guidelines and so on. So that's something which each industry have to address. Fortunately for us out here, the villa to manning ratio is almost 1:10. I would be very interested to know any hotel company in the world who have that ratio, apart from Soneva, which means because of our logistics, because of our service level that we keep, which means if you have that luxury of service, we can afford to keep our people well balanced, well rested. Every employee get 2 days work week, 5-day work week, 2 days off, and they cannot accumulate it more than 6 weeks. And they have to be taking rest, at least 1 day off per week. So these are some of the measures we ensure that people are well rested, they work adequate number of hours, and they actually leave the island. They go have a personal time for themselves.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, it says, good morning, sir. Will revenue tourism be a reality soon? And your prognosis being in the core in industry operations. Will revenue tourism be a reality? Anthony Babu, I am not very clear what is your question. Revenge. Okay, it's not revenue. Sorry, I read it wrongly. Revenge tourism be a reality zone? Oh, okay. Well, good question actually. Okay, it was my mistake. I read it wrongly. I think so. Why I say is I can see we are opening up on the 1st of October, and what I said is we have one of the best Octobers in the recent history. Probably this is one of the reasons that people have been in lockdown and closed and never traveled or even wanting to travel and have a rest. Yes, people would travel. It will bounce back, and this is going to happen. Number two is it depends because this is one of the cheapest time to go and stay in a luxury hotel. I don't want to name any, but you go and shop yourself. I think this is, as a student, this is a brilliant opportunity to go and stay in fine luxury hotels at affordable rates, at 3-star rates. And this is the opportunity. Take it as an opportunity. Go and enjoy. So I have been out during this pandemic 2 times already on an extended holiday. I was at Hua Hin with my family on an extended holiday, but I was cautious about how much time I mingle in a public park, water theme park, and so on. I'm a bit cautious taking my children, but yes, people are traveling. And if you look at that way, places in Thailand, I know many people are very, Thailand very well. Places like Phuket, in Pattaya, in Hua Hin, a lot of Krabi and those places, touristic places. Pattaya is absolutely struck because of lack of international tourists. But if you look at other pockets where internal domestic tourists, most hotels are doing exceedingly well. They are above 80-90% of occupancy. I went to stay in a Holiday Inn at Hua Hin. It has got a water theme park, and they had kept the restaurant in batches. In 3 batches, you have to go for breakfast. So the hotel, I assume, was almost full. So there are certain locations where tourism is bouncing, and people are going to travel. It's a matter of time. There is any situation in the world, whether it was a war or pandemic, everything has come back to a normal, and people have gone back to normalcy. So I don't think there would be anything different with COVID-2. How much a chef earn in a cruise ship? I'm sorry, Sanoop, I don't have the current compensation benefit data for a cruise liner. I assume it depends with which position, obviously. So if you are a student, you are looking at the crew level. And that's the reason why many of them go to cruise liners or in offshore drill and many such remote locations is whenever it's a remote and hardship contract, your compensation benefits are better. Or that is the reason many people take up that. So I don't have a figure to tell you, but you may contact one of the agencies in Chennai, places like the Indus and so on. They would be able to give you an exact figure. Staycation will be the new segment and marketing strategy in the industry. Now, see, today I sit in the corporate office and we have all possible verticals there, whether it is the digital, the marketing, communication, and we even have digital storytellers or photographers in every, or digital presence in every resort to capture. Now, we tap into all possible markets and opportunities where people look for. Now, today, if you think for yourself, and if you have to travel, the COVID the situation may change shortly, but it again depends where you feel safe is what people will go. If tomorrow, if you feel safe going to into a, what do you call it, a backpack and going traveling anywhere, I think people would go. We have seen trends in our pickup. Nowadays, people are more cautious about certain periods, how the pickup which used to happen earlier, and all those trends have changed because of the situation, because people don't know when, even if I have to travel to the Maldives, I normally travel every second month to Maldives, official travel, and it's been 9 months since I traveled. So we don't know what's next. And it is all to do with where you find safety, where you find the kind of service offered. Any sector is equally promising so long as I think safety and service is provided. And I would say in the whole presentation, actually, I had put 5 points. And one of the key things which I took was the sharpening the saw, which is the 7th habit in 7 habits of highly effective people. So if you look at the other 6 habits, one is about synergy. Seek first to understand. Think, win. Put first things first, and begin with the end in mind and be proactive. These are some of those previous, the earlier habits listed in that particular book. But if I look, I particularly took this because this is very relevant to what we are going through today, is about making ourselves ready and update and current and sharpening our saw even during a restful time. So I personally would thank all these people who have participated, and thank you very much.
It's a great pleasure. Actually, I take this opportunity to deliver the word of thanks. I really feel honored to deliver this word of thanks in this fruitful and successful session. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Jorely Mathew for accepting such a busy person, like bearing a big position in most luxurious resorts in the world. And he has, when we requested, like he has accepted it straight away. He's a person who loves to talk to the budding hospitality professionals. So thank you, Jorely, for this enlightening, thought-provoking, and very much relevant topic what you have discussed. Like the selection of the topic was awesome. Beyond that, like you have beautifully illustrated it in a very systematic and professional way. Very systematically it's been illustrated with live examples. Very much up to date, actually, like the entire session was like that. And now one more thing I would like to express, like I feel proud of myself that I happen to be a classmate of Mr. Jorely Mathew. It was it's a great session. It's not simple formal words I'm saying, like honestly speaking, this the 5th or 6th webinar in the series is happening. So from that I'm saying it's one of the best. Thanks Jorely Mathew once again. Then I would like to thank our secretary for this wonderful idea of having this webinar, Dr. Rajat Kumar Lal Mohan. And now thank my colleagues, Mr. Jonathan and Mr. Mr. Muralidharan. Both of them have contributed a lot behind the scene. I also like to thank my dear students and others who have participated in this session. And other than our own students, I think some more people have participated. Mr. Anthony Babu is my old student from another college, actually. He's also another faculty member of an institute ago. So it is so happy that it has been a very, very successful show. Thanks to everyone once again.